All right, so here's a test of the YouTube built-in live broadcasting thing, or streaming, right? So let's go into what I'm talking about here today. And I'm going to open up two files here. And I'm trying to make, this is for the California bar exam, so if you're not interested in the California bar exam, and especially the performance test, then this video is not for you. Thanks for stopping by. But this is my testing to see if I can share my screen with the viewers, because it's really important. So here, I see that I can see my screen behind this main square right here. That I'm going to resize this down a little bit. This is OBS software's control panel here, and this is going to disappear off the screen. But I can use this to do things to make sure that I'm sharing the maximum part of the screen that I want everybody to see. And the maximum part of the screen that I'm going to want everybody to see, now I don't want to do that, is going to be this material here on the right and the blank piece of paper thing on the left. So let's go ahead and get me out of the picture. And I'll do a transition thing, and my picture should have disappeared. But let's look over here on the left-hand side. I got a blank thing. This is LibreOffice Writer. LibreOffice Writer, that's basically like Microsoft Word or word processing package. It's got all the different things in it, and it's open source and it's free. So I got it. And I've been using it for a long time, and I really like the way it works. Now I just want to do something here. I just want to slide this over and make sure it's taking up the full half screen. And let me make this one here. This is the PDF file, and I'm using Adobe Acrobat Reader to look at this particular document. Now, this is it has, here's question number 5, and this is October 2020's performance test, which is the only one we're going to be looking at. That's the only part of the exam we're looking at is a performance test. And what I want to do is I want to make this half the screen, and on the right-hand side, I'll talk about that in a second. So I click on the top of the menu bar there. So I click on that, and I drag it over to the right. Now watch where the mouse is. The mouse is right over here by the cat there. And that's my mouse. So I drag it to the right, you're going to see a circle thing happen, and it's going to be half the screen on the right. So that takes up half the screen on the right. The blank sheet of paper takes up half the screen on the left, and we're cooking with gas. So let's look at this is the October 2020 California Bar Exam performance test and the instructions in the file. So when I first get into the performance test, my plan of attack is to basically grab the information out of the file as fast as I can and get it over here into my answer sheet. So what I do is the first thing that we need to know, we all know it's very, very important to go to the task memo, which is the first thing we're going to get. Memorandum to applicant right here from Marjorie Turner, and we're going to go down to that. Now, first we have some instructions. These are the same instructions on every performance test that I've seen. I've sat for the California Bar Exam in February 2018 through February 2021, except for the two. After February 2018, I didn't take July 2018, and I didn't sit for February 2019. But July 2019 to July 2021 is the one that's about to happen. These are the exams I've sat for. So what I want to do is I want to mention this is the same for everything, for all the performance tests I did. So the first thing we're going to see is a memorandum here. And the first thing I want to do is I want to check to make sure it didn't flip over on the second page. And it didn't. This particular one is only on the one page, and that's great because now there's a problem here. In the software, in Exemplify, in ExamSoft software, we're not going to see things as big as we might see here. We're not going to see the whole thing on the left and right. There's some instruction or some framing and formatting of the software, so we don't get this nice, full, big, robust picture that we're going to deal with on our laptop computers. Also, it's a laptop computer. It's a smaller screen than the one I'm using for this presentation test. And but anyway, so we go in here, and you get some information. You read the whole memo, right? I'm not going to read it out here. This is just a test. And this is the one where the child used a credit card and could only charge, you could do no more than $20. He ended up charging $9,000, right? So, the client sent a letter asking for a reversal of the $8,980 charges because the child only had $20 authorization. And that's kind of a really great way to look at it. They don't say the word authorization, But that's what it is here. She told him he could charge no more than $20. So she's authorizing him, right? And that's the key word there, authorizing him to spend no more than $20. When she's authorizing him to spend the money on the game, that's an agency. So she's made an agency for her son to create a $20 charge on the charge card. But the child ended up spending close to $9,000, so or $9,000, and so your boss has determined that Ryan was able to and did in fact enter into a contract. So there's a contract and there's agency, and so that the boss can discuss this more with the client, prepare a memorandum. So thankfully, in October 2020, all we had to do was make a memo, and if it was something special, they would tell us what it was, a letter, argumentative, whatever, different types of letters they have, and other kinds of things. They will tell us what it is. And if it's something off the wall, they will actually give us an example of it within the instructions here. So anyway, so here's the questions we got to answer. And I didn't actually put these in my working order, but you need to answer these questions. I mean, it's a performance test, and the boss is saying, hey, can you go ahead and answer these questions? So these questions have to be part of our answer. And then, the first one is Ryan able to disaffirm the contract? So we're gonna have to go through that. And then if so, did Janice's letter disaffirm the contract? And I just want to mention here that the passing sample answers, one of them said, did Janice's letter disaffirm the contract? One of them said no, and the other one said yes. And I'll address that when I do the real presentation later on, if this works out right. And then, is Janice liable for the $8,980 charge? It says don't include the statement of facts, so we won't, right? So the next thing I do is kind of like, I'm not going to give anybody, any names of any companies in the presentation or anything like that. But what I do is I don't go through the facts. I skip the facts, and I go right to the law library. Now, when I'm talking about this, I go right to the, what I call they call it the law library, right? So that's the law, the library. Let me back up here. This is the first page of the performance test library. I always say fact file and law library so you don't get them confused or anything. So I don't get them confused. So somebody else taught me that. I can't remember who it is taught me that, but whatever it was. But law library just makes sense. And fact file, FFLL, it makes it real nice and clean so you know which part you're talking about. So if you're going to say, went to the cases, well, you went to the law library. The next page of the law library is actually the library, and it tells you what's in there. All this information here, well, not exactly that. Let's just say for this, I put that right in my answer file. That's the first thing I do is I'm going to put these cases right in my file, right? And I'm also going to add this stuff. In this particular one in my practice, in my first, rudimentary practice, I'll be doing this case again because I really haven't got back to that again. I did 2018, February 28, or no, I did July of 2017, but now I'm doing today and the rest of this weekend before the exam, I'm going to be doing the February 2018 through all the ones I sat for. So I'll be doing all the ones that I personally sat for again because I already have some of it in my mind and I just want to put it together with my plan of attack for how I'm doing it. So what I'm going to do is I basically just type this right in here. So we'll do, Miller v. Miller. There's no case number or anything like that, but I'll show you another thing I do. I take off that and I put Columbia Court of Appeal. And I do it, was it 1993, 1963? All right, so I put that in there that way. And what I might do, I typically want to bold them or something like that to let them know that, hey, I got the case in my answer. It's in my answer, right? Like I'm doing my notes here, but it's right there in my answer file. So I did it, right? And then I'll do, now on these ones here, I could copy and paste, but on the actual exam, we're not going to be able to copy and paste. I just want to try something real fast here. Do a copy, and let's see what the paste looks like. That doesn't look good. Number one, was it a different font? Nah, it's a different size font and everything else. So I don't like that. So it's different, goofy things happen when you do the copy and paste. on the real exam, we can't do copy and paste anyway. So I'm going to hit, oops, wrong thing. What I want to do on that is I want to go back. I go back to this one here, untitled. Whatever. Actually, let me just close that out and just open this back up again. Let me see here. No, I closed the whole thing, didn't I? Okay. So we go to writer. Oh, there it is right there, writer. Boom. Restart. Oh, okay. Don't send. Just open it up. All right. And let's recover this one. Okay, they were both, seems like they were both recovered. All right, so, okay, so it came back up. Thank you. Right, like we want our computer to crash on a bar exam, right? So anyway, so, but this is a desktop computer, so I can't use it anyway. So rather than copy and paste, which we can't do anyway, you know, you can what you can do is you can open up some other side window that's going to look like this thing on the left here, and you can type notes again, but why? So Brady versus Thomas. And an update's available. That's nice. And then get rid of the italics and the bold and put Columbia. Is it Columbia? Court of Appeal. And get the date on this one, 2004. Nice. All right, so, and then let's throw the next one in there too, and then I'm going to scroll through just to the first one there. So, you know, I put these in here just like that because they're there. And I'm going to touch on this in a second here. Laredo versus Thomas. Oops. You can misspell things. You can get things pretty much radically wrong in the wording and stuff like that, and it's not going to probably hurt you too much on the actual exam. They're looking for something completely different than what we think they're looking for, based on my personal experience, 1950. That's the fruit thing. All right, so let's, now I write these in my answer, right? So I have this, I should probably double space in there, but I might not double space. Well, it is double space. Like, you know, for example, that's single space, boom, that's double space. But I might double space because I will be doing that in the actual exam. But this means I'm going to put some more information in here, right? So I'm going to go to the next case. That's the first thing I'm going to do. So let's go to Miller versus Miller here. Oh, before we get there, they have these sections, and this actually threw me off on the October exam. I'm like, what in the world are they giving us? But, you know, after the fact and everything else, and I come back, I mean, what is all this stuff? How am I going to do all that? How am I going to include it? And this is a painful thing. None of this needed to be there. None of this stuff needed to be there at all. And I'll address that in the main thing, but, you know, it's agency, like agency defined. We already know that. We've been studying it for months. Actual authority, apparent authority, creation of the actual authority, creation of apparent authority, and the binding effect. Okay, this one here, we might need this one here, right? But this other stuff, we're going to be talking about it anyway. Not only that, the cases are going to be talking about it. So let's go into the Miller versus, this is the family, okay, and then we got the minor's power to contract, minor's power to disaffirm. This is going to be important stuff, right? I mean, it looks like radically important stuff, and it is, but let's go to Miller versus Miller. Let's see here. I want to look in this case, and this is the first case, and it's just over a page long, which is great. But what I'm scanning for here is I'm looking for an issue. What's the issue that they're going to be talking about here? Bryce, and it's $26,000. Bryce against his mother. Okay, so this kid's bringing a case against his mother, and representing him when he's under 18 years old of age, and a contract, an employer as an actor. So Bryce is an actor whose mother is representing him somehow or whatever like that, and he's got $26,000. Oh, and is representing the payments issued to him as an actor, right? So, okay, the kid was born, worked with Couch Studios, contract. So this is like, so what we're looking for here. Okay, Josephine held the money for Bryce. So his mother's holding the money for her son. By her contract with him, she had relinquished any right to any of it. And he's entitled to recover all of it unless this code. Now, this is what I wanted to get to right here. This is the thing I'm kind of scanning for, right? And keep this in mind. I'm scanning for this. It took me a little while to get there, but this Columbia Family Code 6703 And it says, under that provision, a minor under the care of a parent who's unable to provide for him may contract to pay the reasonable value of things necessary to support, for his support and that of his family, because the family unit is going to be part of the child's whole entire thing, and may not disaffirm such a contract. So let's go back up there and see what that 6703 is all about. And it's an exception to a minor's power to disaffirm. A contract otherwise valid entered into during a minority may not be disaffirmed on the ground if the contract is to pay for reasonable value of things necessary to support the minor and the minor's family. These things have been actually furnished to the minor and the minor's family. And C, the contract is entered into by the minor not under the care of a parent or guardian able to provide for the minor's family. So basically, if it's for things of life and family and living and health and wellness of your family, of you as a child, you're not going to be able to disaffirm those things. Like you can't disaffirm a contract for food and medical care that you require as a minor. That's the point, all right? So that's what we're going to there. So here's this, along with all this other stuff, and this is the point I want to make on that. There's a lot of material up here, right? So we got all this material up here to go through, and it's like, and to me it did. It took they nailed me. They got me. They hammered me good, because I'm like, how in the world am I going to be using all this information here? And the fact is, you don't need any of this stuff up here, except for the part where it's described in the case itself, like it is right here. Now, I highlighted this by just highlighting it with my mouse. In the software, we can highlight. We actually have a highlighting tool. We can pick it up, click on it, and then use it to highlight stuff. We can do that. You can use different colors of highlighter, if I recall correctly. At least in one exam, I was able to highlight in different colors, though I don't highlight. In the practice exams, I highlighted stuff just to see how it worked and in the instructions and stuff. But for the actual exam, I don't highlight anything. But I might do this, because I'm going to be over here working on the one side, and I'll come over here and be writing something here. And like one of the things I might write here is Columbia. And this is what I'm going to do the first time I do this. Family code, section. I'll write it the way they do the first time, 6703, and I'll do this. Maybe not there, but I'll do it to here maybe. It doesn't really matter, as long as you do it. Columbia Family Code, CFC, right? So that's going to be CFC from now on. Now, the first time I put the Columbia Family Code, I write it all out, but guess what? It's going to be CFC, and then over here it would be CFC 6703, right? And maybe put a little space in there, right? So that's it, and it really doesn't matter so much how you do it, just as long as once you do it. And by the way, when I do that the first time and stuff like that, I'm going to make it stand out a bit so they know what I did. You know, I made Columbia Family Code CFC, and I did section 6703, and I have it. So this is, anytime I say Columbia Family Code, it's going to be CFC. Done. I'm done writing. And anytime I see a section number, I'm going to add CFC, because I'm done writing Columbia Family Code over and over again, and I'm just going to write 6703. So CFC 6703, and the greater, because I bolded it, and by the way, I'm going to make it stand out. So it's going to be all by itself, you know. That thing is going to be all by itself, because I'm going to discuss it in my answer. So, you know, I'm going to have some discussion here, you know. I don't write this, but, you know, just for the, you know, for this, I'll have discussion. And what I might do, because it's going to be all by itself, right? So I'll have some discussion of what that is. And I usually write it like this. This is what I actually do. I write analysis. That means that's a placeholder for me, because I'm not writing anything just yet. I'm making, I'm going to take the information. I'm going to pull the information out of the performance test here, and the analysis over here in all bold and standing all by itself, that's my placeholder, so I can come back, because then I'm going to fatten this whole thing out. And let me show you a little bit on this other one before. Let me open up the other one. So what I'm going to do is there it is. Okay, here's an example of one right here. And Brady versus Thomas, the next one down, and I added a whole bunch of text, right? And the judgment was reversed, and then I got an analysis. That analysis right down here on the bottom left, that's my note to me, to myself, that, hey, I got to come back here and write something, because right now I got just stuff that came right out of the document. And this Columbia Family Code, I don't know why it's underlined. I can't remember specifically. It doesn't need to be underlined, but and I didn't do it there. You know, I didn't do it in the practice one. I'll be redoing this when anyway, but there's CFC, right? And there's section 6701. So what I'm going to do is write CFC 6701. Boom. So there it is. So that my Columbia Family Code from then on would be CFC, and Section 6701 would be CFC 6701 forevermore. So I didn't need to write this. For this one here, I'd write CFC for an example, and I just write 6702, right? So that would be that. But now this is talking about 6702, but I'm talking about 6701 in here, and 6701, and here's 6702. So I got to talk about them both, really. Family Code 6702. Now, you note the quote mark up here, and there should be another quote mark down here, and there might be more, right? But I'm grabbing all this stuff out of, this is right out of the document. This is the court's discussion right here. And there's another quote right here. This quote is here. From here to here is directly what the court's talking about, right? So I'm taking liberty here, so I don't have to write so much information. But this is information directly out of the performance test, because this is a court's discussion, or it's the CFC discussion. That's the information within that particular 6702. That's that information right there. I talk about 6701, and it might be a misnomer. I might have typed it wrong or whatever. I mean, in all honesty, if that's what I did, it probably won't crush me, because guess what I'm going to be doing right there is I'm going to be bolding this. So in the process of doing the actual exam on exam day, game day, this might just come right up. Let me see here. I'm going to wrap this up here in a second. I just want to look at 6702, power to disaffirm, subject to the powers to disaffirm, right? And 6702, okay, this is about, power to contract is 6701. And so I don't know if this should have been 6702, but I'll be redoing this one anyway, because this is one of the ones that we will be redoing over the weekend here. So let's just save that as 6702. But this might not be exactly the right one. But we're talking about this one here. This is the particular code that I need. And it says exception as required. Let me see here. Contract of a minor may be disaffirmed. So this is right out of the code, right? And then somewhere in here I'm talking about what the court's saying about it. Policy, and it's policy. I just wanted to see here real quick. Say who provides minor services. That's what it's on. Okay, I remember now specifically that this text right here is right out of what the court was talking about. So if we went to, and this is the second case, Brady versus Thomas. So if we went in there somewhere, it is the policy. I should be able to find that somewhere in here. Well, they do talk about 6701. As a matter of fact, that one there comes right out of there, provided for in 6701. So that was actually correct. All right, but I have to talk about both because they're both in there. Right? So this is not really correct as I wanted it, but I'll be working on this to fix that, because they talk about both here, 6701 and 6702. Here's 6701, here's 6702. They're going to talk about both of them, but why are they talking about both of them? I don't want to scroll back and forth, and in the exam I won't be, but it says, the minor can make a contract. So 6701 is like, hey, a minor can contract, but then a minor can also disaffirm. And the exception to disaffirm or disaffirmation is the fact that if you're going for food, lodging, medical care, things of that nature, things for the necessary to support life and that of your family, your well-being and all that and everything, in this particular case, you're not going to be able to disaffirm a contract. That's the exception. So 6701 says, a minor can contract. And those who contract with a minor are taking their own risk on that, because guess what? A minor has the power to disaffirm before the age of majority, before they turn the legal age of majority in that particular jurisdiction. They'll be able to say, nope, sorry, no contract. Thanks for doing business with me. See you later. And then, except for the exception, if you're, buying groceries and medical services and everything like that, food, shelter, and health and welfare and all that, you can't disaffirm those kind of contracts. Those kind of contracts are going to be solid, and you cannot disaffirm them as a minor. All right. Okay, so that's going to be a good enough test. I want to see if this actually uploaded to YouTube. I'm going to try to, I'll look this over here later, because I do want to use this particular performance test in the process and kind of discuss how I laid everything all out. All right. So with that, don't forget to give me a like on this test. Drop a comment below. Let me know you came by to say hi. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate the growth on the network. And until I catch you in the next video, take care and be well. Put me back over here in the picture, right? There we go. So there.